At the end of this session, you will be able to find out if you cut a cube in different ways, then how many of the resultant cubes have how many faces painted in 0, 1, 2 or 3 sides. Very basic example is this simple cube, which is a 2-unit cube. We are dividing it into a 1-unit cube. So obviously we'll get 2 into 2 into 2, that is 2 cubes of 1 unit each. Now all these 8 cubes being at the vertices of the earlier bigger cube have 3 sides painted if the initial cube was painted on all sides. Now let us look at a more complicated cube. We have a 4 by 4 cube which is divided into unit cubes. So we will get 4 into 4 into 4, that is 4 cubes or 64 smaller cubes of unit dimension. Now we have to find out how many of these 64 cubes will have how many faces painted if in the initial large cube the outsides were all painted. Now to do this easily, we can divide or imagine the cube as a cube of butter which we are painting, let's say, and then we are cutting 1 cut, 2 cut, 3 cuts, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cuts, which gives us the required 64 cubes. We will look at them layer wise on a vertical basis. You can do it horizontally if you want, or any which way that suits you. Now, if we look at this first layer, second layer, third layer and fourth layer of the cut cube, try to imagine in your mind's eye, and you will find in this first layer the number of sides painted on all 3, number of cubes painted on 3 sides will be how many? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in the first layer, 4 smaller cubes are painted on 3 sides. What about in layer 1, which is this layer, how many cubes are painted on 2 sides? Again, if you observe in this layer, you will find that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 smaller cubes are painted on 2 sides. So we get 8 here. How many cubes in layer 1 are painted on only one side? By simple observation, we can see it is these 4 cubes, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Again, since this is the outer layer, so none of the cubes have no side painted. If you look at the table, we can easily see that layer 1 and layer 4 are symmetrical. So the answers 4, 8, 4, 0 are replicated here. 4, 8, 4 and 0. Now let us look at layer 2. Obviously in layer 2, none of the cubes are painted on 3 sides after you cut them. So you get a 0 here. How many cubes are painted on 2 sides in layer 2? Just watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 at the back and 2 at the bottom. So 8 cubes. Are painted on one side. Let me repeat. How many cubes are painted on one side? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 at the back, 2 at the bottom. 8 cubes are painted on only one side in layer number 2. What about cubes which are painted on 2 sides in layer 2? Again, see, this on the edge this cube on the edge, this cube on the edge, sorry, this cube, this cube, this cube, and one at the back, at the bottom, back bottom, which is corresponding to this one. So 4 of the cubes in the second layer are painted on 2 sides. Again, how many cubes are painted on no side? For that, we have to get inside the cube. Since there are 4 pieces, so the outer layer is moved out. Inside, you will get 4 cubes which are totally inside the larger cube. So these 4 cubes which are totally inside the larger cube, they will have 0 sides painted. So we get 0, 4, 8 and 4. Again, layer 2 and layer 3 are symmetrical. So what answer you get for layer 2 is replicated in layer 3. 0, 0, 4, 4, 8, 8 and 4, 4. Look at the table in totality. In L1 there are 16 cubes. In L2 there are 16 cubes. In L3 there are 16 cubes. And in L4 also there are 16 cubes. Total 64 cubes. Out of which 8 at the vertices are having 3 sides painted. 2 at the edges. And there are 12 edges. So total 24 are painted on 2 sides. On each surface there are 4 cubes. On each surface there are 4 cubes which are painted on one side. And there are 6 surfaces. So 24 cubes are painted on single side, which comes from here also. And the inside layer, which is 2 cubes, that is 8 cubes are not painted on any side. If you go mathematically, 2 sides painted, the 2 sides painted cubes are on the edges, and there are 2 on each edge. There are total of 12 edges in a cube, so you get 2 into 12, 24 cubes which are painted on 2 sides. How many cubes are painted on 3 sides? Look at the figure again. This one, this one, this one, this one, and the 4 at the bottom. So 8 cubes are painted on 3 sides. What about only one side? Well, again, come to the surface. On each surface, there are 4 cubes which are painted on only one side. And there are 6 surfaces. So 4 into 6, 24 is the number of cubes which are painted on only one side. What about the cubes which are not painted at all? Obviously, these are the cubes which are inside the large cube, which means 2 cubes or 8 pieces. Looking at the same question in terms of number of smaller cubes from each large cube, if each large cube is divided into n smaller cubes, that means each side is divided into n sides, then we can get the question using these answer using these formulas. 3 sides painted, 8 of them. 2 sides painted. 2 sides painted means along the edge there are 12 edges. On each edge you get n minus 2 cubes,